2 days, so I was worried that I would be coughing, but I'm not coughing.
Oh,
I've
I'm
got
pleased
some
to hear that.
tea, so I'm fine.
Bit of tea, honey and tea. I think the old school remedies are the best. My nan would have said honey and lemon, with maybe a little drop of
Mm.
whiskey in there. But it's always the old remedies that are far more effective. But I'm glad you're all right.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Well, today we're going to be talking about America, or what it was before it became America. And you've got some pretty interesting information to share. So the floor is
Yeah.
yours, my friend. Where would you like to begin?
Thank you. Wonderful. Yes. When I managed to take a break from my research into the Tartarian Empire, which has been a great passion of mine for some years. I looked around and I realized that there were a lot of interesting theories on the history of America. Um, First of all, uh, I think many people are aware of this great reset that we went through, where our vowels changed, our languages changed, empires changed names, um, locations of empires changed. We all got these kind of very simple flags, which are also connected to the past, but we don't really know how they're connected to the past. We had our Bibles rewritten
Yeah,
because there was obviously a lot of information in there, and there still is a lot of information in the Bible that is crucial to kind of understanding who we are and why we're here. But yeah, the real America. It's a spectacular topic. There are so many leads to research, and in the end, I think I may even find that there is a connection between America, or the original name for America, which I currently believe was Tamari, or the
right.
love of Mary, Jesus's mother. Um, so um, was Tamari connected at some point to Tartaria? And who are the Moors and who are the Moors? Because they are different people.
Right.
Um, and Yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed researching this. I believe the American War began in 1492 and ended in 1775. 1775, I think we both agree, is a crucial date
Yes.
um, for so many reasons. And Yes, I think that at this time we already had a lot of European empires. Now, I believe those empires were actually also ruled by Moors, but that is maybe another topic for
Sure.
another day. Yeah, England, Russia, Netherlands, Italy, France, and Spain invaded this great empire, Tamari, the great American empire, which we call American, but should actually be called Africa, because according to a book that I have read by E. Calloway, um, America is the true old world, or the true Africa. So the valley of the Nile can be found in America. There is obviously another Nile in Africa, but that is not the original one. That's not the one referred to in the Bible. The Garden of Eden was in Florida. It has 1,000 times more fertile land than the Nile, than today's African Nile. You have this four-headed river system which exists only in Florida, nowhere else on Earth, which makes Genesis 2:10-13 about America, or Tamari. So a river that went out of Eden to water the garden, and from there, or from thence in the Old English, it was parted and became four heads. So the names Gihan, um, uh, Ethiopia. Ethiopia was in America. Dison, Haviland, where there is gold to be found. So that gold rush in America,
Yes.
that's you can connect that to
Yes.
the Garden of Eden. That's where the rings around rings of gold, which is a prophecy. So the onyx stone, the bdellium crystals. Uh, don't ask me anything about that. I'm not. I haven't got that far, but yeah, it is that encompassing whole land.
So what?
Yeah,
So this is obviously what you've just said is going to sort of blow. Some people are going to immediately resonate and think and
yeah,
think, thank God somebody else is on the same page as me. But a
yeah,
lot of
yeah,
people are going to find what you've just said, America being the original Africa,
yeah.
mind blowing. So what does that
Yes.
suggest happened? I mean, what why do we have Africa as it is? What happened there?
Well, there is a religion that is ruling this realm. It says in the Bible that Satan
Yeah,
is the king. I think in some translation it even says ruler, God, all kinds of different nouns. So if we're worshiping the moon, we are worshiping the other side. We are worshiping the opposite. So rulers of this land are cursed, for example, if they are not female. So distribution of certain flowers that are mentioned in hieroglyphs that everyone's saying are extinct in Egypt never existed there.
yeah,
It was never possible within that flora and fauna for them to exist. And I see it all the time. These references to gopher wood, which is how the Ark was built
yeah,
in Florida, which used to be called Torreya. The most fascinating thing is finding how similar the names are, the current names of the cities compared to the original names.
yeah.
So Florida, Georgia, Carolinas, all of these are not the names. Yeah, the names are taken away. They don't want you to know the names.
Yes,
That's
I
my
mean
opinion.
they've done that with so many places, haven't they?
Because there's so much power once you have those names.
Yeah,
That's really the word of God, right? So Negros de Nacium Morisca was the way that the Native Americans used to be categorized. The Black Moor or the Morisca Islamic African was the Native American.
right.
Yeah, and that all, however, did change. So my research has shown that the Black or Moor was the native. So uh, that's a whole nother, like if you think okay, maybe the Ark was built in Florida because of the gopher wood tree which only
Yeah,
exists there. But if you find out that the motivation behind Italy invading Texas or Spain invading Argentina, yeah, which was also
yeah,
part of the same landmass, right? So we're talking about South America, North America. Then we've got the Netherlands invaded Canada, right? Russia took Alaska, England, and this was all planned. These attacks were all planned by one large sort of belief, a lineage of Noah. So England was I think one of the first West Coast that conquered the West Coast of Tamari. So
so
in
you're saying
seven,
that this was, sorry Charles, that
yep,
you're saying that the people that infiltrated these
yep.
civilizations were descendants from Noah.
Yeah, I mean they categorize themselves, yes. Uh, uh, so um, which son of Noah, right?
Yeah,
So I have belief. I believe Shem, but I also I believe Shem and Ham. I think those are the two. I don't think it incorporates the Chinese lineage or the Slavic,
yeah,
uh, you know, Aryan race,
yeah,
which I believe is Japheth. That's
yes,
I, and I think I mentioned that in the conference.
yeah,
Um, so if the Native American did not want to enter into the reservations, then they were relabeled the N word. Yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, I mean there are many kings. Powhatan was a king of Tamari. There are many labels. If you go back to Europe, you'll see the kings before the re-information or the
yeah.
rewriting of history, which was done by J.P. Morgan in 1906. That's the date I have. So there was
Mr.
a photographer.
Titanic himself.
Yeah, there was a photographer called Edward S. Curtis who started hiring Siberians to dress them up in different costumes to create this plain Indians kind of aesthetic. So you end up with indigenous Indians looking nothing like the actual, yeah, Native Americans.
Do you know if there are any images out there of the true native or the original,
Yeah,
what we would call
yeah,
Native Americans.
yeah, yes, yes. I found quite a few. Yeah, so this might be a good chance for me to show you some of my photos.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, please
Um,
do.
for every photo, there's another 20 photos that I haven't put on. Um, okay, yeah. So I did find some images just to kind of help with the identity of some of these cities. I don't think Portugal was part of Europe um, after the 711 uh, um, Umayyad invasions. So I
Yeah,
don't know if Portugal and Spain were even part of Europe back then. Sometimes the line between Europe and Africa, or the current Africa, is um, is just a river. It's just like
yeah.
a forest line or something.
Well, if
Um,
the the water level we're told, and I think we can all we're kind of all there, I think, with the Younger Dryas period, I
yes.
believe. So we know the water level's risen, and if you look at the distance between North Africa and the
Mm,
bottom of Spain, it's a very short distance. I mean, it's it's a quick trip on a ferry, isn't it? A lot of people actually
yeah.
visiting Spain will go to Morocco for the day.
Yeah.
So it's not a stretch to believe that that was once land, and you could walk between the two.
Yes, I mean there are some records. I don't know how accurate they are of Hannibal invading from Africa, trying to invade Rome with 1,000 elephants. So I think there are probably a lot of routes
Yeah. Well,
from
that certainly wouldn't have
Africa.
been done by ship, would it?
No,
If
that was not
invading
done
with
by ship because
elephants.
those are large creatures,
Yeah.
and they would have had armor on them. They had like little sort of nests on top, and they were like archers placed there. Uh, they were called castles, Elephant and Castle.
Yes, of course. Of course.
Yeah,
Yes, we have that in London, South London, just across the river, Elephant and
yeah.
Castle. Yeah.
And just down the road from Elephant and Castle, you have Moore Street, right?
Yes. Yes, of course.
Yeah, I think there's so much missing from our history.
Yes.
It's
Yes, there
yeah.
is. So what are we looking at here? I just sort of caught, I can see a tiny bit of it there where it says it's a Dutch painting, and I immediately thought of
Okay,
the
sorry.
cartographers all being Dutch, the early cartographers as well.
Yeah, so I don't know how much of this can you see. Do you see everything? The
Yes.
tools?
Yes.
Okay.
See it all in the
So
writing at the bottom as well.
yeah, so this is the port of the Mughal, or today called Portugal. This is Lisbon. Lisbon
I'm,
um,
I'm
the
going there in
square.
4 weeks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, you have to take photos and
I
see
will.
how much sort of if you can find any Moorish sort of wide arches and anything like that.
Yes.
Yes, no, I'd love to go to Portugal. I've never been. I've been to Spain about maybe 5 times with my family, but not Portugal. So
Oh,
Chavarez del Rey, this is
yeah,
the Alfama. So if I see the word Al, I know it was probably named by some Islamic Umayyad or the Iberian Peninsula
yeah,
connection, right? Alhambra, Alabama, Alcatraz, right?
yeah,
So I think the Moors were sort of part of that Tartarian one world government
yeah,
period, and for some reason people don't want us to know that. I have no idea why. So I mean yeah, you can see here the Order of Santiago, which I think was the Knights Templar. Is that right?
yes,
So the amount of people though in this painting that are black or swarthy
yeah.
is what's so surprising, and that's why I think it's so important. Yeah. So
And
this
I'm
is
just, I'm not,
1570.
I'm not saying that this was drawn to scale, but there's also quite a difference in height of people as well.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, like some of these people, like even if you look at that horse, if that's a an anatomically correct horse, that is a large man.
Yeah, yeah, it is, isn't it? And
Yeah.
and and looking behind them, where you've got the raised area in front of
Mm.
it, you've got people of different heights and on it as well.
Yeah.
Now I know we don't know if this is to scale, but
Yeah.
everything else appears to be. Looking at the arches, Why would you get the arches looking so perfectly symmetrical and then
Yeah.
decide to make people look disproportionate to each other?
Well, I think this artist was definitely maybe part of the royal court. This is obviously a very able artisan. He's probably recording some historic event.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Maybe for the king and queen,
yeah,
or a nobleman. Yeah. So I think the king of Portugal was a Moor, and I think
mm,
Portugal was in its entirety conquered by the Moors and held for a considerable period of time. I mean, we're talking here if it's 1570, then that means that Spain was for maybe 700 years
yeah.
under Moorish rule, which is I don't think there are many people who are aware of that, you know. So
No, no, I think you're
yeah,
right.
and that's fascinating to me because who are some of those other people there? I mean, could those be other important historical? Could there be a Tamari connection or Tartarian connection?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, it's not a painting that I
I've
knew
just
of.
spotted a I've spotted someone who appears to have red hair as well in the to the right in the middle, right middle.
Yeah,
Um,
the beard. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So
So
we could have some kind of uh,
a few
maybe
different,
Egyptian or I don't know,
yeah,
or Scottish, Irish.
yeah, sort of Celtic kind of, yeah,
Cool. I'm gonna try to go in. So this is a Native American before the Trail of Tears. So this is 1830s,
yeah,
and these people do not look like the Indians that we are told lived there. I mean, these people look African, but they're not. They're
yeah.
Native Americans. So
Okay,
so I think that's one of the best ones that I've seen.
yeah,
Um, yeah, this is uh um, this is part of a larger collection that I found on an archive. But this one just seems so. I mean, they have a very dark complexion,
yes, they do.
you
Yeah,
know,
very much so.
and I think people need to look into this.
Yeah, I
I think this
agree
is
because
quite a serious topic.
it doesn't follow the narrative
Mm. Like
at all.
how many people are actually, what, like they think they're from Africa, but they're already in their homeland.
Yes, yes, and I said that
Think about
I've been saying this for years about America that we're told that anybody that wasn't Caucasian or
Mm.
indigenous was taken there as a slave from Africa, and I've argued that there were
Yeah,
too many people. The amount of people that they claim were brought from Africa, it doesn't stack up with
mm,
the number of
no,
ships and the period of time that it happened within. It doesn't stack up. I think that these people were convinced or told that they were slaves, and I think their history was whitewashed and they were discredited. And this is the Moors
yeah,
that we're talking about. And I wrote that in my
yeah,
first book. I'm totally on board with where you are.
yeah. But I mean, once you go down this rabbit hole, there's no turning back. Like
No, no,
you can't
absolutely.
look at the world the same way, and
No.
that's I think that's the ultimate. I think,
Yeah.
yeah, because there are many people who thought that they were African for many years who I believe there's a good argument to say that they weren't.
Yes, I totally agree with you. I
Yeah,
totally agree. I do not believe that the narrative behind the slaves being
yeah,
shipped over from Africa, because I also broke down the population at the time and the number of people they say they brought across. It would have left entire countries in Africa empty, completely empty. There wouldn't have been
yeah. You need to,
anybody there.
yeah. I mean, you need to look at the population of.
Yeah,
I think looking at the population of a country can really help you find out whether or not people were taken from there.
I just as a bit of sorry to a bit
Sure.
of a tangent here, but I looked at the population in 1776, the world population, and they claimed that it was 770 million. And by 1876, 100 years later, it had doubled to
Yeah.
1.4 billion. But then what I did was
Mm.
I started investigating the number of deaths during the same period of time. So the population had doubled, which is pretty hard to believe. It's certainly using traditional methods. And I calculated, if each person that was able to gave birth to twins every 9 months, you still couldn't double the world population. So I broke it all down, and then I decided to have a look at the number of deaths in the same period of time, and it's 3.3 billion. 3.3 billion people died when the population at its peak was a third of that. Well, how do you get 3 times the number of people to die if they don't exist to start with? So I don't think that they've really thought it through when they've given us these figures for popular. I think the same is true today, that it's falsified.
Yeah.
But sorry, they're digressed for a moment. So Native Americans before 1830.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's when JP Morgan would have probably, I think the Trail of Tears might have been motivation to sort of like try to remove that part of history.
Yeah.
Because these people were constantly moved and they were hunted almost. But they were already there. So they were constantly moved into reservations.
Yeah.
They even ended up culling the buffalo in order to destroy their
yeah.
sources of food. And I mean, they were using buffaloes for everything, for
And they
leather.
did that, didn't they? The number of buffaloes that they killed. I mean, people are still finding them now, and they mass
Yeah,
graves, if you like, of
yeah,
thousands and thousands of them. It's
yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean that was why would you do that? I mean, you're trying to move away, move the people into a different position where they have to now rely on the new government in order to
Yes.
survive. Yeah.
Yeah, you stripped everything from them.
Yeah.
And my first thought was, when I look at this is not what I've been taught Native Americans look like.
Right, right.
At all.
Yeah. So there is an interesting piece of documentation that a lot of them were considered to be Moorish citizens. Now that means Morocco was also in America.
Right, of
And
course.
some of the Native Americans were actually called Moors.
Right.
Murrs. So they had the right to say, I am a free Moorish national, and then they could be sent away out of slavery and could obviously go onto ships. But I think once your city is destroyed, there aren't many options left. So then a lot of them, because they were also Berberi pirates at the time, so I think a lot of these armies became joined up with the Europeans after the Reconquista, and I think that's when you have the Barbary Coast pirates probably were created out of a Moorish generals, naval officers. Yeah, because these were very highly developed civilizations. These were not wild kind of nomads,
No.
And when you look at the world fairs, when you look at some of the illogical scale of some of those cities, I mean, we see the ones that existed during the age of photography, but there must have been a lot more before that.
Yeah.
It's just the conquest of a large continent.
Yes, absolutely. And it's funny, because I was saying to you before I hit record that I'm looking at the world's fairs now. I mean, I touched on it, but I'm going much deeper into it, and the title of the book that I've started to just research at the moment is called Whitewashed and Brainwashed. And it is because that's exactly what has happened. They use those world fairs not just to show people, look at what we can build, but they were shown as a muscle flex, if you like, of what the Caucasian or what was the British Empire can achieve. And they had on display at a lot of these world fairs, specifically in America, they had on display there what they called savages. They had indigenous children dancing, and children that were shipped over, stolen, taken actually from their families in allegedly Africa, and put on display. And they would sort of a sideshow almost, and really
Yeah.
pushed as being very, very primitive. So not only is their empire, sorry, not only is their civilization destroyed and whitewashed, they're then not just discredited, but made to appear to be very basic, and totally uncivilized. And this has got to be put right. This has to be corrected.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you start putting people into the category of like a curiosity, it
Yes.
sort of objectifies them, and if you look at the natives of the country, which has obviously been successful, this story, this fiction has been successful. I mean,
Mm,
it's made people sort of look upon these cities in a different way, like
mm,
almost they were waiting to be found,
yeah.
whereas they were not. Uh, the people who lived there were driven away, massacred, and
Yes.
defeated in a war that we may one day find out that the people who live there are going to start to realize where they live, and I think we need to get on the right side of history and say this is I think this is what happened.
It's
And
funny because if you take your average one of my best friends is actually from California. Um, he's from LA actually, but he came over here when he joined the US Air Force and stayed. And this is back in the 80s, late 80s. And he refers to himself as African American. He's
yeah,
not.
he's
He's
he's no, he's not.
he's a true American. He's not African American. He's
Yeah,
well,
I don't know who made that. I mean, I don't know who came up with that, and I don't know why you would.
yeah, because
I
it's
mean,
just
who's in
claiming that
charge? Who's in charge to, and why? What's the benefit from calling
it's
people African American?
I know, and it's now what people are referring to themselves as African American, where what we're starting to discover is
But
these
I've never
people
heard
weren't
anyone
from
called
Africa.
European. Yeah.
No, they are the original inhabitants and
Mm.
civilization and true forefathers and owners of America as we call it today. They're not African American. If we're using modern day terminology, they are American. It's the
Mm.
Caucasians that came over that aren't American. They're the ones that
Right.
keep saying, "Well, I'm Irish American or I'm Italian American." The Africa, the, it's sort of been it's been completely inverted, Charles. I think is what I'm trying to say. They've flipped
Yeah.
everything on its head.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So you can tell him California was called Miwaka, and that's the actual
Okay.
name of his land where he lived, his country. Yeah. And Illinois was called Cahokia. Yeah.
Wow,
So this I have a lot more to find, but
it's a weird one
yeah,
for you. I don't know if you've seen
fascinating.
this, but when I was sort of studying, when I first got into Tartaria, I stumbled
Mm.
across a photograph which I do have somewhere, and it was New York, and the sign that it said was Troy.
Yeah, yeah. Where was Troy? Yeah,
And I thought, well, okay, because I think wasn't it New Amsterdam at one point? Was it called New Amsterdam? I can't remember.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. When you are approaching New York, you are pretty much seeing what is written by Homer,
Yes,
uh, word for word. Yeah, yeah. That's a very good one.
but
Um,
that's a
yeah,
fascinating photograph. I mean that just
yeah.
yeah,
Michelle Gibson did an episode on this maybe 10 years ago. She wrote she read out a an explorer's opinion of when he first arrived in America.
right.
And he said it was like going into Acre. Yeah. So he felt like he was going into an ancient pillared um, a mythical city.
Wow.
and those were the people who supposedly discovered. Those were the explorers that supposedly discovered uh, the United States.
Right.
So I think there are some terrible things probably. I mean, if you believe in spirits and ghosts, um, I think there are some terrible um, things happening in America that might be connected to ancestors, voodoo, dark magic. I think there are some places that I think people would never go.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of the things that happen, um, I think there's incredible. I have some crazy theories. I think that a man cannot rule, for example. Yeah, I think this is like the Empire of the Moon. And then if you look at Statue of Liberty,
Yeah.
I study that as well quite closely, and that is not what you think it is. That is not. That is an ancient god. That is not. You know, helping people. That was not designed by a French architect and
Oh
as a
no,
gift.
I don't believe it. I think it's been bastardized. I mean,
There
a
is
lot of
something ancient there and very
yeah.
powerful, and I think it's all connected to everything we see. Um, you know, not just some of the strange pop culture, some of the extreme pop cultures, some of the even Hollywood, the Hollywood tree. I think that they understand the ancient magic of the land,
Well, that's
and
what wands were made from, wasn't
yeah,
it? The
and
holly
they
tree.
yeah, and they made yeah ones from the holly tree. It's like some kind of magical
Where
like
the magic comes
substance.
to life, eh? Hollywood.
Yeah, and I think America does have a lot of that. A lot of those rules have to be abided by, and I think it's a real awakening, like looking at the history of
Mm,
something like that.
yeah. So do you,
Because that was not a new world filled with nomads and waiting to have cities built. Those cities were already there.
yeah, I totally
Yeah.
agree. I totally agree. There was an article that I read. Now I can't remember where I found it, but I did actually include it in my first book, and it was talking about Iron County. And
Yeah.
this preacher had assembled people into a hall and said that there are buildings here for you all to use. They're empty. There are hundreds of them across Iron County. Take whatever house you like, take the farms, take everything. Everything here is available, and it's all completely empty. And it was Iron County.
Right. Yeah.
So you know, it was there printed in black and white. Somebody actually giving a sermon on the fact that you could take a building or a farm
Mm.
that with no actual explanation as to who built it and where the people had gone.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that this is where you get this kind of false history,
Mm,
because there are some incredible structures, even star forts all over America,
yeah, the
and
Statue of
a
Liberty is
lot
a
of
good
the town
example.
halls. Yeah, and the Statue of Liberty was obviously a fort. So, so, so when you look at some of these really old, like courthouses, post offices, asylums that are ancient palaces, basically,
Yes,
in every way. They are very well built, very flamboyant, very sophisticated ornamentals. They do not look European. They look sort of more Islamic sometimes.
yes, yes,
And they have all kinds of antiquitech on top, like moons,
yeah,
ether charging domes. So so this is ancient architecture. Um, and they have knocked down a lot in the United States. A lot of things have been knocked down. But when you look at like small towns that had like only maybe 100,000 people living in them, and then you have these multiple courthouses,
mm,
massive Greco-Roman structures built upon Roman numerical um, codes, like the sacred geometry of having exactly enough steps, like 42 steps. There's certain numbers. The number 18 comes up a lot in the Roman Empire.
I love that because it's always
Mm.
combinations of 3, 6, and 9, like 42
Yeah.
steps, 4 and 2 is 6,
So
or
they were
18, 1 and
exploring.
8, 9. Yeah, it's
Mm.
always 3, 6, 9, the matrix, 3, 6, 9.
Yeah, yeah. So you get that that numerology
Mm,
incorporated into a structure that is the product of a very large city.
mm,
Even though most of the city, because every one of those cities had a fire, because they had to remove
mm. Yeah,
thousands of buildings. Otherwise, how can you explain 100,000 people living in a city built for millions? You know,
yeah,
and then when you do look at the steps and you look at the geometry and you look at the pathetic attempt to cover things in a facade, um, and cladding sometimes that just
yeah,
looks ridiculous and is falling off, and then suddenly people are finding like ancient Fibonacci sequence spirals and
yeah,
apocanthus flowers, cornucopias from some strange empire that uh, like the closest thing is like Venice or Rome or
yes,
London, or and you can't fathom it. Like, how can Al Andalus be in Algonquin, Texas?
yeah,
What, it doesn't make sense.
yeah,
But the photos are still there. The photos are there. Even sometimes they tear the buildings down for no reason. And then the narratives of, oh, they imported marble from Italy, and because the marble is a fingerprint, it's a fingerprint. And you have to start saying that you're importing marble from Italy. You have to, because that's the only place where you can allow that level of sophistication. When you
yes,
realize that the mines were in America, and when you realize that there were all these cities that they were using for movie sets in Hollywood in the 1930s.
mm,
So there's always some way to find things. Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
Some of the movies that I've seen, like the movie sets were not built. The movie sets were just found cities.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I totally agree. And again, it's always in plain sight, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. I mean, sometimes it's a small village, like like a 20, 50,000 people, but there's a massive marble, central Roman, palace, and
Yeah.
and um, the explanation is usually a competition. There's a
Yes, it's always a
competition
competition,
to
isn't it?
win the right to, with no explanation of resources.
Yeah.
I mean, did they even know what the Roman cubit was back then? I don't. I thought everyone was rural farming, and I thought, during the even the gold rush, everybody had these wooden saloon with swing doors, and
Yes,
what's going on?
exactly. Yeah,
Just let's
exactly.
compare it to the spaghetti westerns like Clint
Mm,
Eastwood and the OK Corral, right? I mean,
yeah.
everyone was a homesteader. Uh,
Well,
who
those
were the
films,
cowboys? Who were the real cowboys? That's
I
interesting
was
as
just
well.
going to ask you that actually, because I've got as far as I'm concerned, I've got a suspicion that the whole Western cowboy and Indian sort
Yeah,
of theory or ethos was actually mass brainwashing again, showing us that
yeah,
these Caucasian people turned up, they built wooden little towns,
yeah,
and then went out there and battled against the Native Americans, and I think
yeah.
that was to give us a backstory.
Well, they needed time to say, yeah, this was the period of time when we built all of this stuff that is ours.
Yeah, the Wild West, and of course
And
it
that's
was
when you
anything
get,
but.
I think our timelines have been altered just to help these European nations control America. And I think America is still ruled by those today. Yeah. Yeah.
Who,
I don't
who
know what the Civil War was exactly, but it just doesn't, I mean,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
doesn't make sense, does
For
it?
for me, most civil wars appear to be an opportunity to reduce the population.
Yeah, but I mean, I think they were hell bent on getting people to live there because
Sorry, I mean the existing
yeah.
population.
Oh, the
Yeah,
existing, yeah,
yeah, to
remove the
replace them,
existing, yeah,
remove them, get them to kill each
yeah,
other, and start again with people that have no understanding of what was there
yeah.
before.
But I
Yeah,
think there
blank
was a
slate.
natural disaster too. I really believe that, especially the 1700s. I think there was a natural disaster, a
Have you looked at
catastrophic one.
the New Madrid, the quake of New Madrid? I think it was
Mm.
1812. That certainly
Oh,
caused
1812,
an
yeah.
yeah. That some people claim that was a pole shift.
Okay.
Yeah. So the New Madrid quake 18. I'm
So you're
sure it
not
was
of the
18.
opinion that it's a constant, the constant magnetic pole, or the pole star? What do you think of that?
I
What's
don't,
your theory?
I don't know. I
That's
don't
good.
know.
That's a good answer. That's a good.
Yeah,
Sometimes we just don't know. Yeah.
because I'm asked this a lot, and it's something that I don't invest a lot of time into because
Mm.
until I'm in a position where I can, if it's at all possible,
Yeah.
circumnavigate the globe or travel from one ice wall, if you like, in the as far as possible to the east to
Yeah.
the ice wall in the west and see for myself what's there. I don't know. I certainly don't think we're on a spinning ball, but I
Mm.
do believe we can still have, if it's a torus, then you would still be
Yeah.
able to have the pole shift. But
Okay.
but but I am very much on the fence with it. I don't know. I just don't think we're on a ball that's spinning around. I think there are continents out there that we're not aware of. I think the
Yeah.
size of the Earth is a lot greater, and I think there is something more out there, and also that perhaps there's a great deal more going on underneath us, to the extent where maybe we're not supposed to live above the ground. Um,
Cool. Okay.
yeah. So as I was chatting to someone yesterday called, I don't know if you know him, called Gilles Tessier, um, and he's been
Mm.
looking at star forts and vacuum trains, and that everywhere is connected by tunnels. They're still there now, and that all of these ancient cities from I can't get it out now.
Göbekli Tepe. Yeah.
Thank you. To Stonehenge, were actually biomechanical machines, and that the Earth itself, as we know it, is a little bit like a lump of Swiss cheese. That there are lots of civilizations inside this hollow Earth, and
Yeah.
we're up on the surface getting burnt by radiation, where everybody else is underneath.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, uh, I think it depends probably again on our lineage. Um,
Mm,
I tend to think that the amount of sun we can kind of um, handle also is connected to that. I don't think it's all down to adapting to our environment.
no, I
Um,
don't believe the origin of species to be.
yeah,
I think that's a work of fiction.
I think there is so little that is useful now that has been written and taught,
Mm,
that you could almost, you know, do without it. I know
yeah.
that's quite an extreme view, but
No, I think you're right.
yeah. I mean, but then there are some quite dark elements. Have you heard of, and this is probably um like a quite a dangerous subject. So you tell me if you want to carry on with this. But have you heard of the NFT Ape Yacht Club?
No, no, I haven't.
Okay. So there was an NFT that was incredibly successful
Hmm.
in as much as famous people were buying it. And it was basically apes dressed in different costumes. Now, I wasn't really that aware of it, but when I
Right.
started looking at the symbolism of these apes, I mean, you should be careful using apes anyway, okay, for anything, because there are some metaphors. I mean, throughout history, there have been some very racist undertones,
Yes.
and I am beginning to think that this war's not over between the Moor and the Tartarian, and or the Tartar and the Aryan. I think this war between the lineages is very much alive and well, and it's happening right now. And I think it could be connected to everything happening in the news, especially with Iran and Israel.
Yeah.
But this NFT was purchased by a lot of famous people, and
Right.
it had like a wolf whistle to kind of bringing back a neo-Nazism almost,
Right.
because the logo, I don't know if you've seen the logo of this NFT, and I just mention it because some of these NFTs went for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and very famous people bought them. And
Right.
the logo, I'm not going to show the logo because the logo is very obviously taken from Hitler's SS.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
the Stormtrooper. I don't know if you've
Yeah. So
heard
it's
of
the
that.
two
Yeah.
sort of, yeah.
Well, it's black and white. It's got
Yeah.
like a skull. Even the Prussian Pickelhaubes used to have that on. It kind of means death, I think. Yeah.
Yes. Death Squad.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and they had that almost identical logo with a few alterations to make it look like an ape. Yeah, yeah. So I think this war is now being fought with symbolism, semantics, anagrams, metaphors, and
Mm.
like 4chan trolls. Basically, I think that frog. Do you remember that frog meme that Donald
Yes.
Trump was posting
Yeah.
as well? Uh, the Keck, is it called Keck? Something like that. Anyway, that came from these kind of Reddit and 4chan groups,
Yeah.
subgroups, and some of the symbolism in there, like the hand, the
Hmm.
monkey's hand, because that's the Belgian king when he invaded uh, Africa. They were trading, they were cutting off people's hands as punishment. So it's dark, and I don't know if everyone knows about this symbolism, but they're putting it into NFTs, cartoons, computer games, movies. Uh, like even the bananas, there were four bananas in like a spiral,
Right.
and it just looked like a swastika. I mean,
Right. Okay.
this is, but, but I don't think it's what we would consider to be neo-Nazism. I think it's something else. I think it's some kind of hatred of the Moor, targeting a
Yes.
demographic and trying to kind of pull one over on people who are not aware of the symbolism. Yeah. So
Bloody hell.
it's really scary. Yeah.
So do you have an image of the NFT?
I do. I'm not sure if you wanna, yeah, how deep you want to go into that, but I've started even realizing that when they say it's a bingo in Quentin Tarantino's movies,
Yeah.
Christoph Waltz says it's a bingo. That's nothing to do with he's won a game. That is a reference to Bingo, which is an ape who um who starts killing people because they were left in the land. All of these robots were left in this land, and they started killing people. Uh, so I think there's so much deeper reference to to I mean, even politicians in their speeches. There was a politician who started referencing one of the species of apes called a macaw, which is also a
Yeah.
slur, and he started calling a reporter that. And it's not until like a week after that I realized the reporter was a black man.
Uh,
And all this stuff is just going like under the radar. And yeah, and all of these NFTs that they bought into have obviously now been devalued because people have realized what's
yeah.
going on. So they've lost hundreds of millions of dollars. Like, yeah.
Crikey.
Yeah, do I have a picture? That's what you asked me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, it's pretty insane. Like I think this is the war against the Moor is still happening right now. And I think that um and I think the people that are involved in designing it have have a very big following, and they are highly highly intelligent, which is scary, I think.
yes, that is
Yeah.
scary because by definition, you'd expect them not to be.
Well, racism is a sign of ignorance and weakness, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Yeah, I
So
totally
so I
agree.
so I think when you get people doing it who have hundreds of millions of dollars involved, and all the biggest celebrities bought these things. Um, yeah, I'm just going to show it to you.
Yeah, thank you.
I am not going to. I don't think I should show you the German one,
Sure.
uh, the original one. I think that would be definitely a mistake. But
people can have a look for themselves online, can't they? If we're giving them the information, a bit of a heads up,
Yeah,
they can go and look for themselves to see what that
yeah. I
is.
mean, you can compare them and you can tell me, tell me what you think. But I don't think there's any room for misunderstanding where this is concerned. So I don't know. I don't. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of. Okay. So I'm gonna put it onto the whiteboard, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So which page was it? I'm gonna add a page.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. Do we know any of the celebrities that were involved in purchasing a stake in this?
Like everyone, A-list celebrities from
Mm,
Logan Paul to like famous singers. like I'm not saying they all were aware of what it was designed to do. I'm pretty sure Logan Paul wasn't aware of what it was designed to do. But it's too late now, And I mean, you will not believe how much these NFTs went for how much they went for. Like one of the big ones, like the one with the captain's hat, I
yeah.
think that went for like $500,000.
Oh my God.
And they're just buying a JPEG thinking that in
Yeah.
10, 20 years they're going to be able to buy an actual yacht from that,
Yeah.
which is, if I have anything to do with it, it's not going to happen. I mean, because this is the most I mean, if you want to insult people's intelligence, like this is the way
Mm,
to do it. But even the names of the creators, they all have anagrams, and it's not, none of them have real names. There's always like a you can mix the words around to make racial slurs, and
oh, really?
let people have a look on YouTube. There's a guy called Osmongold who talks about the YouTuber that actually investigated it. So
Right. Osmond Gold.
Osmongold, yeah, he's like one of the biggest ones in the States.
Right.
And
Crikey.
I mean, there are games online. You can visit the website. There are puzzles. You get rewarded with like thousands of dollars worth of NFTs if you can work out the puzzle. The company was called what was it called? Do you remember Hitler went to school with an author, um,
Oh,
a famous
crikey.
author. What was his name?
I
And
don't know.
he
Yeah.
coined a phrase, surfing the Hindu Yaguma or something. Um, and they have referenced that in there.
Have they really?
I think the name of the company that owns the NFTs, Board Ape Yacht Club, is actually called um, uh, is actually, I think, the title of one of his books, or the phrase, the Hindu philosophy. It's kind of like say la vie,
Yeah.
or what happens will happen, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how does the German one differ from this?
It really, I mean, I can read it out, but I don't know. Can I read it out? Yeah. So it's basically the same, but it's not an ape skull. It's a human skull,
Right.
and I think at the side, yeah. I mean, yeah. People should definitely look into this one. I mean,
Yeah.
this is. It says Waffen at the top. Waffen
Right.
means weapon, and then
Yeah.
Totenkopf means skull and crossbones, and then it's got SS each
Uh-huh.
side. So instead
Right.
of BA Board A Yacht Club, it's got SS each side.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that speaks volumes, doesn't it?
it's unmistakable because even the circular um, design of the logo is also broken at the edges, and it's also
Yeah.
black and white, and it's yeah. I mean, yeah, it's
Well,
same text placement, and there's something else. Can you see that? A numerology is involved here.
No, I can't. But now I'm going to have to look. But
So it's got exactly the same number of teeth as the Waffen SS, Nazi German specialist Totenkopf. Yeah,
right,
it's got 18 teeth.
yeah. It's so subtle, isn't it?
I think this one is probably less subtle than some of the other ones.
Mm,
But yeah, I mean, just, I have no idea where the motivation comes from. Is it
mm.
the idea of being superior?
Yes, I think so. I think I think I, I think that I think the people that are well, that we would refer to as the elite, the parasites that are behind all of these things, do feel that they are a completely different race of altogether, and that a bit like the blue blood, I think that they believe that they are the true rulers, and
Yeah.
everybody is subservient to them, and that we are all in different ways very primitive in regard
Yeah.
to our knowledge. But then I suppose if they've occulted so much from us, if everything has been inverted or hidden,
Mm.
um, then we are ignorant to so much of what's really going on, because it's not through a lack of intelligence, but
Mm.
through them hiding so much of it.
Well, in Europe, these things are all over the. I think this one's in Switzerland. These this is the Mohren Oberwenigen. That's a German one.
Mm,
You got the Moorheads everywhere. I mean, they're going to say
yes.
that that means they've conquered the kings, but I don't think it is. I don't think these are conquered kings. I think
No.
these were kings, and I think that there's something on a very large scale that's been rewritten in Europe too. Because if the real Africa is America
Mm,
and Tartaria was removed from history, then I think Europe is also suffering from incredible misinformation.
yes. Yeah, I think so too. It's funny. Something that I've been looking into
Yeah.
are the crown jewels that appear on these crowns.
Yes. Yeah.
I've been looking into the jewels, and I've been looking into, and it's something that
Powerful.
it really sort of struck me when our dog died in February, that
Yeah.
we started having a look online at what we could do with his ashes,
Yeah.
because we didn't want them to just be on a box on the side, a wooden box or something. So we started looking at having, first of all, having bracelets made that each has a small silver container that has just a few of his ashes in it. Then we
Yeah.
looked at actually getting synthetic gemstones made.
Mm.
Um, and from there, I started thinking, well, if I can get a synthetic diamond made from the ashes of a deceased pet or loved one, then could it be that the
Mm.
crown jewels, for example, if we go to the Tower of London and grab the crown jewels out of there, could it
Yeah.
possibly be that each jewel is a synthetic precious stone made from the ashes of someone that they've slayed, a previous true ruler or king?
Yeah. I had the same theory a while back about gold, that all gold comes from the human brain or the deceased human brains. People.
Because we have elements of gold, we have a small trace of gold in us, don't
Yeah.
we? A small
I think
amount.
gold can only be created by the alchemists,
Mm,
you know, the main musical instrument, which is the skull. So I think it's all about resonance. I think all gold comes from, yeah, potentially comes from humans. I mean, there are stories in the Bible of gold rings being laid around the base of trees, and a lot of gold was mined around the base of large, tree-like mountains, like the Devil
yeah,
Tower, Table Mountain. The
yeah,
I mean, that's a whole nother theory, but yeah, yeah, that all precious stones. Because I mean, what we were saying with Himalayan salt, uh, that's potentially a crystallized blood, right? So
yes.
so it's just a theory. People don't like that theory. Something about that
No.
theory. I don't know why. Like,
Do you think it's because
Maybe
a lot of
maybe
us?
it's a big business, is it? Himalayan salt stones? Maybe
Yes.
because the light goes through the crystal and it purifies light. So they're selling those, right, for that.
Well, I think a lot of us have sort of, a lot of us that are concerned about what we're consuming have switched
Mm.
to Himalayan salt.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then
A lot of
there
people
are
have, yeah.
people have got, we have one, we've got a salt lamp. And I think
Yeah, I
because
think my
it's
mother bought these like 20, 30 years ago. Yeah.
really.
They're still, I mean, these are ancient medicinal things, I think. Yeah.
Mm. So I just wonder if the reason that some people aren't on board with this theory is because it's a little bit too close to home, that they are using Himalayan
Right.
salt, that they've been consuming
Mm.
it, they have the salt lamps and so on, and they just can't get their heads around it. But I've seen so many images um, where they've been digging Himalayan salt that it looks like a rack of ribs.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there are yeah, those official salt mines do look like giant carcasses. I mean,
Yeah,
once you've thought about it.
yeah. Once you see it, you
Uh,
can't unsee it, can you?
so yeah, I mean, are we looking at petrified bodily fluids of giants, and
Mm,
when we get those kind of crystal veins,
mm,
and maybe, yeah, maybe that's why it works so well with energy, with ancient Chinese medicine.
yes.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, you do not need people to acknowledge your theories in order to go with it, because I think sometimes that's a burden, it can slow you down.
Yes.
So I mean, it will start to make sense. I mean, things will start to connect. Things always connect to each other. Everything seems to be connected sometimes. Yeah.
Yes, it does. I know exactly what you
And
mean. Yeah,
so you could talk about absolutely anything, and you could end up, absolutely anywhere.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, then there's petrified fruit, petrified animals, petrified
Mm.
dragons, petrified. I mean, yeah, and petrification doesn't necessarily have to happen within a short period of time. So it's.
No, and this is one episode that Roger um, of Mud Fossil University did a while
Yeah.
back. He was talking about a woman that, and this was written about at the time. This
Mm.
woman had she'd been eating something like it was maybe oysters, something like that, but it was a shellfish of some description. And
Yeah.
she drank one. She literally poured it and consumed the actual flesh. And within a few moments, she started to feel really unwell.
Yeah.
And what happened over the next few minutes was she solidified from the inside out,
Oh.
and it was silica that was in the. They found traces of it in the actual remains of what she had been eating. There was a little bit of the water left, and this silica had petrified her. She literally solidified in minutes. Obviously died, um, and he did a whole podcast on that, and I found that fascinating. It was a while ago. If people are interested, they maybe scroll through his work, but I can't. It was the woman who turned to stone, and it was a little bit
Yeah.
like reading about Lot, and people
Mm.
being turned into pillars pillars of salt. That came from somewhere. I don't believe any of this mythology is
Mm.
plucked out of the air. I believe that it has some foundation of truth to start with. Otherwise, how
Yeah.
would you just
Yeah.
decide to make a story up about someone being turned to salt? I mean, where do you get that from, and why
Yeah.
choose salt? It could have been anything at all. Why choose salt? Unless it is possible. But yeah, Roger did one a while back. It'll still be up, I'm sure. Um, and it was well documented when this actually occurred. It was written about in the papers, and someone did a report on it, looked into it, it was investigated, and she had completely solidified very, very quickly.
Okay. Yeah. So they have like she can be identified as
Yeah, her name and everything. I'll
an actual
message him
person.
actually because
I would
with
like to look into that actually. That
yeah,
would be
he's
very
oddly enough, he
interesting.
sent me a friend request on Facebook the other day, I say the other day, it's a little while ago. And
Do you accept those friend requests? Because there's a lot of them that don't seem like real people sometimes.
well, yeah, I was just about to say that. What I do is if it's somebody that shares a name, I mean, for example, Campbell Purvis, who we know from Autodidactic, I got one from him the other day, and I thought that's strange. I was only speaking to him last night, so why am I getting a friend request from him as he closed his account and started again? And so if it's something that looks a little bit suspicious, I click on it and just see how many friends they've got to start with, and if it's
Yeah,
three,
yeah,
then I just
yeah,
delete it. If they've got a decent number of friends, then I will just scroll down and have a quick look at their posts.
yeah.
But normally, Rogers didn't. But normally, it will say mutual friends. Rogers didn't. I clicked on Rogers, and it's Rogers. It's the account's been there forever. It's all of his
Yeah, yeah.
content, and I recognized some people that he was following. So I thought, okay, yeah, it's him. But I haven't spoken to him.
Hmm.
I've just been following him for a while, and I've talked about him a little bit and mentioned him in a couple of posts over the last few years. So maybe he just saw something, recognised my name when it came up with a suggestion, and thought, oh, well, I'll have a look. He's talking about me, so I just have a look. But
Yeah.
I'll reach out to him and see if he'll reply.
Yeah,
But
you've done a lot of amazing. You've had a lot of amazing guests. I mean, on your YouTube channel, and I've seen your Facebook stories.
well, a lot
Yeah.
of people would say that you are actually one of those amazing guests.
Oh,
So
okay.
many so many people asked me when you were coming back on.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, extraordinarily high number of people messaged me,
Okay.
and really found you to be incredibly relevant and articulate and researched, incredibly well researched. Um, so the fact that
Yeah.
you've come back on is really appreciated, not just by me. I think the people watching this will, because you're credible.
That's
You do your
beautiful to hear that. Yeah.
Which your
It
due
does motivate.
diligence. It's thorough. A lot of people I chat to are talking about theories. They don't then back it up. They just say, well, I
Yeah.
know this to be the case, and this is what I think, and I'm currently looking into this. You actually are a little bit more thorough than most people
I
out there.
actually don't think of myself as that. I think of myself as the guy who has the theories, and then other people impress me with the facts. So I'm trying to do more of the getting the dates, the names, so that it could be a valid debate at some point. Because right now we are surrounded by friendly people, right? To some extent,
Yeah.
like everybody in the Tartaria conference is on board with the theory, but it's not always going to be like that. I think we're going to have to. I think this is the time where we prepare, and then later on, I think we are going to come under attack. No
Oh,
good
I
deed
don't
goes
doubt that.
unpunished. So
Oh, isn't
so
that the truth?
so
That's
it may be 10 conferences from now, it may be two, but at some point, as my following, on it, specifically Instagram and Facebook,
Instagram's huge. You're following.
has gone crazy. Like it took me like maybe a year to get like from 5,000 to 10,000. It's taken me about 3 months to get from 10 to 30. So it does happen at a different rate. But I think as long as I stick to the truth, as long as I don't kind of let my own personal uh, predilections about things
Mm,
get involved, and I stick to the facts as as best as I can. I think I also think my intuition is leveled up. Um, but it is nerve-wracking. I mean, I've been worried the last few days about how I'm going to relate this to you, So there is a lot of like a motivation. I sometimes don't give myself enough credit for finding something new. But I have some crazy theories on a lot of things that I want to talk about, but I feel like I need to have at least three or four, undeniable kind of
yeah.
supporting arguments before I can. Like, I think there are some crazy things happening. I
Yeah.
think that there are invisible parts of our body that are under attack. I think it's very much, it's not a physical war as such anymore. And I've started to realize that even politicians are not on our level intellectually anymore.
What do you mean by that?
I was listening to an interview with some of the American, the Republican Party that is, discussing Israel and the recent confrontation and bombings happening between Iran and Israel. And the way that they were talking about the state of Israel in comparison to the biblical Israel, I I don't think they have spent any time researching Israel at all in the Bible in comparison to the state of Israel. I don't know if you want to put politics into this. Some people don't like to get involved in politics. But when they were asked questions about Iran, they didn't know anything. They didn't know the capital city, the population, number of people who live there. They didn't even know about the religious background, the history of Iran, how it is a biblical empire that is predicted to be because there's a king of the east, king of the west in the Bible. There are prophecies. They didn't seem to really understand what the motivation might be for Israel to begin a war with Iran.
Have you heard that the Gaza Strip
Yes.
is being constantly flattened, specifically so they can build a canal through it, a shipping canal?
I wasn't sure if the canal was the main motivation. I think it's more to force Palestinians out.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
Because I think even today, if Israel or if Israelis decided to move in, they would still be a minority.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is obviously, I don't think that's the intention here.
I think it's like many wars that, and certainly for me, if you look at the invasion of Iraq, for example, the illegal invasion of Iraq. I mean that was never about oil. People think that it was about oil, and they'll say that Afghanistan is about taking control of the poppy fields and the supply of opium. But there's always another reason, and like I said earlier on, that when Fassbender, I'm sure his name was Fassbender, when he discovered the what he claimed to have found being the tomb of Gilgamesh.
Yeah, I think that's what it's really about.
Yeah, I mean, it's no coincidence that within just a few weeks, that's the first place that they bombed. And I spoke to someone a little while ago that was in the US military, and he was security in the US military, quite high up, a decorated officer, and he was on patrol, and what he was monitoring the whole area where that tomb was. He was one of the first people sent out there, and he was monitoring and keeping that whole area secure so no one could access it, and then it was flattened. So
I don't know why Iranian, for example, historians haven't found the actual tomb, because the actual tomb was not in Iraq. It's not in. I mean, there's a lot of beautiful Assyrian, archaeological items there, but Iran must, if it's on Earth, the tomb, to prolong life. I mean, everlasting life. Let's be honest, because that's what's there. If it is in Iran, do you really think they're not going to have excavated? I mean, these people have access to the original biblical scriptures as well.
Yes.
Like, do you really think they're going to leave it where it was? Like, wherever you think it is, which must be Iran, because I don't know where else it could be. I mean, that's the original Assyrian,
yes,
a Babylonian empire.
Yeah, Babylonia, yeah, absolutely.
Babylon was conquered, but all of that stuff was taken.
Mm.
to, because that's the Persian Empire now. You're talking about the
Mm.
Persian Empire, which obviously didn't exist at that time, but but I would love to go into Iran and try to decipher,
Mm.
where the tomb was moved, because they're obviously using it to prolong their own life. Like,
Yeah.
that's my opinion.
Yes.
And I have read a lot about it. So I mean, whatever you found in in Iraq, whatever was actually found in Iraq, it's going to be 1,000 times that,
Yeah.
because that's where everything was taken.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the movie uh 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 Frank Miller comic, the about Sparta?
No, I don't think so. It doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah, so there was a comic book. It's funny because I always think of that book um about the Spartans, and they only had to send one, I think, to fight. Um,
Because
and
he was immortal.
this was because, yeah, this was
Mm.
because he'd gone through that regeneration process. But we can't look at it as the ancient world either, because what we've learned now, I mean, what we have to start to, the way we have to view the old world is as kind of being as, if not more sophisticated than we are today, And
Absolutely. Yeah.
we would describe it as magic if someone showed us a mobile phone 30 years ago, but um, it's just simply that we think all of this stuff is new, but AI, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, these are not new things. These have been around for thousands of years, and I think the technology, it's probably incredibly simple. It's probably something really simple.
Mm. Wasn't there I'm not sure whether or not they were Viking or not, but wasn't there a ruler or a king called Bluetooth? And that was
Yes.
where the symbol came from.
I mean, the name Bluetooth came from the Nordic Viking king, I think,
Yeah.
and because and I think it's to do with the stars. So the energy, or I mean, this would have been a a religious belief
Mm.
in energy connecting people, like etheric
Yeah.
energy connecting people, and so they took that to, yeah,
Yeah.
to but the name Bluetooth, because Bluetooth comes from his family lineage, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
It,
it's, I mean, this is just a reminder as to how we seem to always forget that we are just kind of learning about this realm, and we're visiting, and we're kind of taking advantage of things. We are not creating uh, much at all. We're just
mm,
kind of picking up where other nations left off, and many of them were more advanced than we were. But I think the movie's called 300, which is based on a
yes.
comic book.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and they are fighting. They are they are fighting the Persians there,
Mm,
and these people didn't really wear clothes. They just wore gemstones and electromagnetic, you know, golden, armor and jewelry,
yeah.
which was, I think, very well portrayed. But the movie's just superficial. It's just,
Yeah.
special effects and combat and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, these Persian kings, what did they know? And are these the original Tartarians?
There's a bit of food for thought there, isn't there?
Because I'm pretty sure the word Aryan comes from uh, Iranian, and they do have some interestingly named cities that sound like European countries as well, like Kermani and uh, uh, Runizi and stuff, and there's some strange names. Dari. So maybe Italians were
Yeah.
Iranians, Tunisians,
Yeah.
Germanic tribes were all from Iran. I mean, they do have very similar attire, especially the Prussian Empire. They're very similar to the Iranians obviously became Ottoman.
Yeah.
So yeah, is Tartaria Iran? I mean, is that what we're talking about? Because uh, I mean, the Persian Empire seems to be, especially the because that's the Assyrian Empire, right?
Yeah.
Whereas you could say Tartarian was Scythian. Um, yeah, yeah.
That's how
So
I've perceived it to be. But then, a couple of people have said to me, "What do you get if you cross a Tartar with an Aryan?"
yeah, exactly. There you go. You got the
Tartarian.
name.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
so that's why the names are so important. So when you change
Yes.
those and replace them, what you're doing is incredibly cruel. You're cutting people off from their ancestors.
Yes. Yes. You're destroying
And
their history, their
I'm
heritage.
sure in the whole scale of human history, there has to be some kind of punishment for that, don't you think?
Oh, I think so
I mean,
too. And but look at what happened in America and Canada as well, with a lot of these orphanages that would take children from, indigenous families and communities, and then force them to be,
yeah,
to literally force them to speak English, force them to, either become Christian or Catholic, and totally brainwash them, and they were punished even if they spoke with a trace of an accent. And this went
yeah,
on until
yeah,
relatively recently.
yeah. I
It's
think I think that's so they can't understand
yeah,
maybe oral history
yeah,
if they come across it one day. And I think that's why cursive was removed from schools as well, so that nobody knows how to read it anymore.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
which
I
is
think,
yeah, which
uh,
is such a mistake. I
yeah,
mean, maybe people had good intentions at some point because it's difficult to read or something, difficult to teach, but I just feel every time you lose a piece of the past, you lose a piece of yourself. You
I
know?
think that's the idea, isn't it? That there's a saying, and I can't
Yeah,
remember it exactly, but it's he who controls our past controls our future. If we, and I think that
yeah,
that's true. I think that if we don't understand where we're from and how things really were before us, then we've got no idea what we're truly capable of. And as you said earlier on, we think that we're advanced, that we're sophisticated, that we've got all of this amazing technology and how primitive things were before.
yeah,
Anybody that believes that has got no idea of what happened before and the technology and that was available to them. And this guy I was talking about earlier on that was on patrol at this site in Iraq. He said that one of the other significant reasons for going after Saddam Hussein was because they believed that he had found a Stargate
yeah. I mean,
and they were looking for it. He said they were looking for it. When he got out there, that's what
mm,
they were looking for.
yeah. I was doing a podcast with someone who was trying to convince me of the Stargates, and it is a wonderful thing. It's a beautiful idea. And I think anything is possible. I think anything's possible. That's the way I think I'm going to approach
Yeah.
everything from now on.
Yeah,
Because
me too.
a, a lot of it I've been skeptical about Stargates, the like Egyptian, aliens eating that they were trading and eating mummies in Europe.
Mm,
There's like a lot of theories that that end up turning out to be true, and so yeah, I mean, what is a Stargate? I mean, are we able to travel through the physical realm? And I think why not?
yeah.
But but it is one of these high technological theories where
Mm,
you're looking at a civilization so far more advanced than we are, that I think
yeah.
we might not be able to get to believing that fully as
Yeah.
laymen, which because I do want to be able to communicate something like that, and I don't want to use a movie because a lot of people reference
No.
movies,
Yeah.
and sometimes that's not helpful.
No.
Yeah,
I think sometimes we're sent down the wrong rabbit hole on purpose.
Yeah.
And I often think that about certain things I'm looking into. With regard to the movies, I think what's often worth doing to see if there is any credible support for why this may be more than a conspiracy theory, but actually have some element of truth to it. And I do think that because the term conspiracy theory's got a bit of a bad rap, because at the end of the day, people tell me all the time, "Oh, you're just a conspiracy theorist," and I try to explain to them that, if you understand what that really means, I'm looking into and researching to find out whether or not you have been conspired against. That is
Right. Right.
important. It's important work
Yeah.
that we're doing. No one's patting us on the back and thanking us for doing this. We're often, as you said earlier on, we're often shot down in flames by people who
Yeah.
they go through stages of sort of almost denial. First of all, they might just dismiss what you've said as being nonsense or rubbish or you're crazy. Then when you go back to them and say, well, I appreciate everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but could you show me where your research has come from? That's often what I ask. If you're saying that
Yeah.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying is wrong, could you, if it's okay, perhaps share your research with me that's led you to believe that what I'm talking about is wrong? And they either say something from Wikipedia that they copy and paste, or they will say that it's just what they believe, it's their opinion, and they start to sort of back down a little bit when you actually ask them for evidence to support what they're saying.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I think that it's off the cuff usually. It's
yeah,
kind of easier to fool people sometimes than prove to them that they're being fooled.
yes,
Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, who wants their reality shattered?
That's
Not
the
everyone.
ultimate
So
problem, isn't it? That and this is what I said to my mum when she I've just sent her my second book actually, and I told her not to read it. I told her not to read the first one. But the only fortunate thing is um, that she doesn't read things properly. She told me she read the first book in 3 evenings. And I said, okay,
okay.
well, then I'll ask you a couple of questions. She didn't know what I was talking about. And I said to her, one, I told you not to read it. You're 75 years old. You very programmed. She believes everything her GP tells her. She believes everything that the BBC tell her. And I said, then this isn't for you, because this is going to turn everything you believe on its head.
Yeah.
And it
Stress
leads,
you out.
yeah. And I think, but actually, what happened was she didn't read it properly. And so none of it had any significant impact.
Mm.
And I think that is the problem. The information that we're trying to get out there to people is to suggest that everything they've been told is a lie. And the people that are running the show are not the people you think. You going and voting every time there's an election, thinking you're actually making a difference or taking part in something that will
Mm.
change the way things are, is a lie. Everything you've been told is a lie. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I
People
mean,
can't
that
get
is
their
a
heads
really
around it.
interesting. I mean, it's a good starting point for another episode actually, because I've started to think that famous actors, famous
Mm-hmm.
politicians are all part of specific, even royal lineages.
Mm.
And yeah, I think that is definitely something someone should do research on. Yeah.
Yeah. I often, I'm going to ask you this in a moment, but I often wonder if you were able to sit down for an hour with, I can't say his name on YouTube, which is incredible, really, because if I was giving a lecture on German history or the history of the Second World War, then I'd be able to say it. But the Chancellor of Germany between the late 30s and early 40s, if I could sit
Yeah.
down with him for 1 hour and ask him a few questions, I'm pretty sure that what he would say would be very different to what I was taught. And I think he's a good, for
Yeah.
anybody who wants to look into history, he's quite an interesting character to look at. Um, and then you can sort of take it from there, really. So I think even in my lifetime, when I was at school, what I was taught about Napoleon, the First World War, the Second World War, the American Civil War, I now don't believe any of that. And I believe that significant people have either been created or actually they've been inverted, because history really is written by the victors. So
Mm.
if you can take somebody and pile a load of really horrible things against them, then you've totally condemned them. That they're now just seen as vile, despicable people. But actually, what I've started to realize is that it's actually the people that said that, the victors, if you like, that actually really were responsible for most incredible atrocities. If you just look at Dresden, Nagasaki, Hiroshima, just three examples of what the Allies did, which totally was unnecessary. Then you can
What
start
if
questioning
it's
all of it.
so? What if it's the other side or the opposite, or it's inverted information? Then it, I don't know if it serves us to focus on individuals. It's more probably something on a larger scale. Like there are some things that just don't make sense.
Mm,
Like I don't like talking about World War II too much because people do get upset about that.
yes.
Um, but but the infrastructure, uh, even in France, was not the product of a few years of building. Uh, that empire was already constructing, and you can even see them today. They're still there today. Very, like tunnel networks, very
Mm,
large structures. I don't think, for example, I find it very hard to disconnect the revolutions where the royal families got. Uh, that's one of my main videos. I think the revolutions in France, the killing of the royal family, I think that brought about the German royal family lineages changing their name to Windsor, moving to Britain.
yeah.
And I think that everything that happened in World War One, World War Two was retaliation for that. I really believe that because in the end, it was Britain that during the D-Day landings um, went to Europe as a preemptive strike. That's what is written in history books. So but if you find out the actual lineage um, of of the royal family, um, who were obviously involved in this
Oh,
as much
absolutely.
much
Yeah.
as anyone else, because Winston Churchill was also had a royal lineage.
Yes.
So did every president of America have
Mm,
a royal lineage that goes back to the Habsburg Gotha
yeah.
Coburg family lineages. So the presidents are also kings. So what was Hitler actually? What did Hitler actually represent to them?
Mm,
And I think they were scared that because they only attacked once Hitler moved to Russia because they did not want a repeat of the Romanov executions.
mm,
This is just this is a family protecting its own children. That's when the money was there for war. That's when everything had to be the motivation for war.
mm,
When Hitler decided to go to Russia, and they were straight away thinking, "Oh no, Romanov's children, my children," you know.
mm.
Um, but that's just my theory. Um, but I mean, many people have this opinion. I really don't think they were too bothered about a new Germany. I don't. I think they were probably friends with Germany. I know that some of the princes were friends with the German Empire. Um, uh, but but um, but yeah, when it came to invading Russia, they thought that this was the Bolshevik Revolution all over
Mm,
again. And I think you will find that um, even I don't think the Russian I think the Bolsheviks have been kind of sated. I don't think Russia is ruled by a non-royal lineage. I think it's the same lineage. Yeah,
right.
even today. Yeah.
Have you looked into the Society of the Elect?
No, but I will
That's,
write that down.
yeah, Society of the Elect. Now, I don't know where you'll be able to get good information on them, because it's probably Google isn't going to provide you with what you need to read. But Cecil Rhodes, backed
Yeah,
by the
I've heard that name.
Rothschilds. Yeah, Cecil Rhodes is who Rhodesia is named after. Um,
I find any name that starts with Ro
yeah,
or Ro or
yeah,
Roman or uh yeah, Rhodesia.
yeah,
So
Rhodesia.
any name that starts with that is an anagram. And then you have the same with the Italian. They actually still own, I think, parts of America. I think Columbia,
Yeah,
Columbus. Yeah, I think that's the
but yeah,
Orsini
Rhodes is
family. I
one of
mean, these are the most
the
powerful
Orsini's. Yeah,
families. Yeah,
yeah. Orsini is worth looking at. That is one powerful
yeah.
family. But yeah, Cecil Rhodes, but his is Rhodes, but the H may
Mm.
well have been added along the way. But the Society of the Elect were
I mean, these
formed.
people own entire countries. This is,
Mm,
you
well,
know,
yeah. I mean, Israel is a good example of that.
yeah. I'm sure they're going to be very eager to see what happens
Yeah.
with
I mean, that was handed on a
Iran.
plate to the Rothschilds, wasn't it?
Mm.
Pretty much at the end of the Second World War. Right, my friend. Before I go, I'm going to ask you that one question that I was sort of teetering on earlier on. If you could bring somebody back from the past for an
Yeah,
hour, so you can
yeah.
ask them anything you want, and they're going to tell you the truth, who would it be?
Oh, there's so many. Okay, so um, okay, I have some questions for uh um there it's difficult. Okay, um, Tariq ibn Zayad was the leader of the Umayyad armies that invaded Spain, and I would like to know how far he went.
Wow,
Truthfully,
that is a
did he
deep
go
one.
up to Poitiers? Did he go past Toulouse? Did he? I believe he went all the way to Central Europe. I'd love to have undeniable proof
Mm,
that France was yeah conquered. Maybe even cause, I mean there are some records of Poitiers, but I'd like to know if he got as far as Germany
mm,
because I saw a very Moorish looking castle there in Dresden. So
right. Mm.
yeah,
Somebody said to me the other day that if you could go back in time and meet somebody, and or you could bring somebody back from or Back to the Future.
yeah,
You know, why would I see? I would always pick Hitler, but
okay,
I was asked the other day why I wouldn't want to bring back Napoleon, because I've written that I don't. I'm not totally convinced he existed, and I said, well, the problem with that is if you're bringing back someone who there is a chance didn't exist,
it'd be a waste of a
it would
chance to do
it would be
that.
yeah, it'd be such a
If
waste,
you
wouldn't
find out
it?
Napoleon is just an anagram for a lot of different,
Well, I just think
generals.
Napoleon Bonaparte. Bonaparte's fantastic, isn't it? What a brilliant word, Bonaparte.
Bonaparte.
Yeah, and I just think that
Neo Neapolitan. I don't
yeah,
think that's a real person.
no, I
Personally.
don't think so. And also, if you look at his backstory, he was 25 when he was literally
Yeah,
running France, and when he wasn't at battle, winning every single battle he ever went to, even when he was seriously um, undermanned. You know, when the odds were stacked heavily against him. When he wasn't doing that, he was writing romantic novels. I just think, okay,
yeah.
all right, Jesus
I think it
Christ,
was a few different people that were written together. I think the
yeah, I
same is
think
true
so
of
too.
Shakespeare as well. I think Shakespeare
Yeah,
might have
the committee.
more than one person. I mean,
Yeah,
he never left the UK, but he's writing about Venice and
yeah,
the he's writing about this Moorish general. I don't know.
yeah. And Da Vinci, I think, is a few people have said over the years that actually that was a
Yeah,
family, not one person. It was actually a
it's
family.
sad though if it is true, right? That we have
Mm,
this a lot of these people. Maybe yeah, maybe Da Vinci wasn't who we think he was. Maybe he was Islamic as well because a lot of his designs reminiscent of those early universities in
Mm,
Spain.
mm.
And then I was thinking the same thing the other day about Fibonacci, that maybe
Mm.
that was just a fictitious character that was actually some kind of Islamic
It's a
scribe or
strange one,
something.
isn't it? Because I always think of the
Yeah.
Nautilus shell, and then I
Because if you're
think of,
that much of a genius, like, wouldn't you have done a lot of other things too?
yeah.
You know, if you're such a superior mind,
Mm.
you know.
Yeah,
What do you think about Tesla? What if one day we find out that Tesla wasn't real?
I don't think he was.
Oh, you don't think he was? That's good. That's interesting.
No, no, and that was well, second from last chapter of my first book. I sort of ended it with that question because, for me, first of all, I mean, there's some silly things that you can just play around with. So his surname is an anagram of Steele, as
Yeah.
in theft,
Mm.
Steal. So we've got that, and I think that might just be a bit of fun. Um, there are no living descendants. Now, there'll be people that watch this that'll say, yes, there are. My granddad worked with him, and or my next door neighbor's cat once met his nephew, and all this kind of stuff. But there isn't a single person out there that can actually show me a photograph of a member of their family or one of their friends with him. So lots of people will claim that they knew someone who knew him, or they're related to someone who knew him. So I contacted his museum, and I said, I'm writing a book about him. I'm struggling to find any information other than what there is online that we already all know that could substantiate this was an actual person. Well, first of all, they tell me, of course, it's an actual person. And I said, oh, there must be living descendants, because I know that his brother died. If we follow his narrative, his brother died when he fell off a horse when he was quite young, but he had sisters. Now, if these sisters married and had children, then and Nikola Tesla, just like Albert
Yeah.
Einstein, never did have any children. If his sisters had got married and had kids, then the kids, their great grandchildren, would be wandering around right now. So, could you hook me up, get me in touch with them? I'd like to speak to one of them, please. We're not aware of any living descendants. Right, okay. So I then went on to a couple of the Tesla forums on Facebook, and one of them's got, maybe, 100, 200,000 members. And I
Mm.
put the question to them. Of course, I'm immediately hit by the people that just want to throw abuse at you because you're asking something that they're so heavily programmed, they can't accept that it's a possibility that he didn't exist. So they immediately attack because, I suppose it's easier than considering. I might have a question that is worth
Yeah.
considering for a moment, or giving some sort of, you know, at least a few minutes thought to. And then this girl contacts me and says that she is, well, I say girl, woman, that
Mm.
she is his great niece. And I was so pleased that she messaged me and got in touch. And I said, I can't believe this. You're exactly what I've been looking for, because I would rather be corrected and told that what I believe isn't true, and have everything set straight for me, than carry on believing a lie. I'd much rather be proven wrong. And I said, oh, this is amazing. Have you got anything that you could share with me to help me substantiate this? Can you corroborate what you're saying? And she said, and she disappeared for a couple of days, and then she came back and she said, I've asked Donald Trump and he won't let me. So I said to her, I wished her well, said goodbye, and blocked her, because she's
Yeah.
barking mad. This utter
Okay.
nonsense. So that was the only person. I then went back to the museum and said that I'm now struggling to find video footage of Nikola Tesla. There isn't anything. So, but please don't tell me that that's because it was a relatively new invention, because this is a pioneer of technology, as we're
Mm.
led to believe. He is at the forefront. There is video footage of Edison and Einstein and Marconi. There's nothing of him. And their reply to that is, we've spoken to a few people here at the museum, and the only conclusion we can come to is that he was camera shy.
No, that's not gonna fly.
No, so I said, okay. Then you look at 300 odd inventions and patents, and obviously to get a patent, the invention has to work. So he knocks 300 out in 5 minutes, Everything comes to him in a vision. He blacks out and has a vision. Then he says he's speaking to people from Venus, that the Venetians are communicating with him. None of it stacks up. Absolutely none of it. And then when he dies, he's, John Trump, Donald's uncle, goes in and removes all of the files and paperwork from his safe. Apparently, it took 2 truckloads to get the stuff out of there and into a secure location in New York. 2 truckloads. This is 2 hotel rooms. I know somebody, a friend of mine, has stayed in his hotel room. The one that he slept in, the other one was his office. Now, this man apparently never wrote anything down. Everything that he did write down, which he didn't need to, because he said everything he ever did worked exactly as his vision had predicted. So he didn't even have to experiment. So he never wrote anything down, yet he's got a safe full of all of his paperwork and research. But it takes 2 trucks to get all of that information out of the safe and into a secure location.
Yeah.
This is a hotel room. A safe in a hotel room, even if the entire hotel room was full of paperwork, 2 truckloads of paperwork.
So
that doesn't
didn't he
add
work
up.
at a patent office as well, right? So he would have had access to a lot of.
I thought that was not. No, that was Einstein's
No.
Einstein's wife, which was also his cousin. Worked at the patent office, and a lot of people say that she was bringing information home and showing him, and she was the genius. But at the time, a woman wouldn't be considered as a reputable source of technology or innovation. So she gave him the information, and he went out there. But then he was a strange character too. But again, no living descendants. He married his cousin. I think he married twice. Never had sex in his life. He was famously known as a cross-dresser. Very, very strange characters, and I just find it strange. And Edison, I mean, does he have any descendants today? I mean, we're not going back that far. You would think he'd have some great grandchildren still wandering around. And I just wondered if sometimes they put a name to something, and they just say, well, what we'll do is we'll create this person, we'll get Frank Zappa to pose for some photos, and then we'll come up with a backstory, and then we've got an explanation for all of this technology. Everything from X-rays to neon lights to alternating current, we credit it to one person who's got no living descendants, so nobody can go and fact check any of this at all. And that's kind of where I am with a lot of people, Columbus being another one of them.
Yeah, I mean it is fascinating. I wish I knew more about Tesla actually. I do have a banknote from Romania with his face on. Which I have somewhere. But yeah, I mean, how many of these people? I mean, you can't control a real person very well, but you can attribute like a Moorish science to a fictitious character, and then control that character's narrative. So I think we may find that about a lot of people throughout history.
Yeah, I think so.
And I think if he is part of that cult, that ancient order, then if Tesla was a real person, I think he would have probably been very dishonest about what he did and didn't invent. So yeah, it's unlikely that you can find any proof either way.
Yeah.
But there are lots of theories about Einstein not actually having come up with anything, just being fed information and then fronting for that in Germany.
And I always thought it was his wife. That was where I was sort of pointed.
Have you ever looked at gender markers in historical figures?
Yes.
It's a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So there are very specific things to look out for, like size of your hands, collarbones, Adam's apple, things like that.
Yeah, and also hips as well. The hips,
the way people walk.
Yeah, and as I understand it, and I might be wrong, but on a female skeleton, the or frame, the hips are wider than the shoulders.
Right,
And
right.
that's normally a giveaway. So if you look at someone like
Mm,
Sandra Bullock or Jennifer Aniston, just as a couple
yeah.
of examples, that you can see that their shoulders are wider than their hips, so they don't therefore
Mm.
have the ability to carry a child.
Right, right. Yeah. So I mean, it's also the number of ribs you can count,
Yeah.
and it's impossible for someone to be famous and not have photos taken from all angles because they're obviously
Mm,
being followed by paparazzi. So I mean, that is kind of insane. I mean, when you find
mm,
out that this whole sort of hiding the male heir to a throne
mm,
by having everyone cross-dress, so if there's an assassination, you won't know for sure that you've
mm,
entered that lineage. So it goes back thousands of years,
mm.
and I think they that was also Shakespearean plays. Women were simply not by law allowed to become actors.
Mm.
So if all the actresses are actually men and all the actors are female, then maybe that's translated into every part of these empires because they are worshiping the
Yeah.
moon, the inversion.
Yes, of course.
Which is also Islamic symbolism. So it's kind of something that may help you make sense of it
Mm.
because I mean there are some people who've spent many years of their lives proving that Einstein was a woman, not a man.
Mm.
That many of the like, did you hear about the Macron theory in France?
No. Oh, Christ, yes.
That is
Yes,
insane.
that
Oh
is,
my
isn't
God.
it?
So Candace Owens went into detail on this. She is in, I think she's in England now. Yeah, she lives in England now. But she was she found out apparently that the Prime Minister of France, or the Chancellor of France, I'm not sure if it's Chancellor or Prime Minister, but that he's actually married to um, a teacher that he was a pupil in his class at school, and that uh, yeah, that there are some reporters. I think the French press got hold of photos of his wife as a man. So
I'd
also
heard
the
another one
age.
that it was his father.
Yeah, that was the like a secondary theory,
Mm.
which was which would be illegal. I mean, that would, like,
Mm.
I mean, um, yeah, I think France always has had a lot of like strange family ties, especially the royal family.
Mm.
So it could be that Macron is married, yeah, to his father, yeah, to his own father, which is insane.
Yeah, yeah, that one I've seen circulating. And then there's the
So
Bill and Melinda Gates
are
one.
oil, yeah. So the theory is that are all of these presidents actually still kings and queens, and are they
Yes.
all? Do they all have to go through this? Is this part of their ritual? Is this part of their religion?
Mm.
So Brigitte Macron, yeah,
Mm. And the more
yeah.
you look at her, the harder it
Well,
is
yeah,
to see
you
anything
start to, yeah, you
else.
look at people differently. You look at
Mm.
everything differently through the
Mm.
Tartarian theory. You look at architecture differently.
Mm.
So yeah, you look at people differently. Um, I mean, yeah. So that's yeah, it's a very strange world. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Charles, for coming on and
Okay.
chatting to me. What time is it there?
It is now 9:20.
So it must be nearly bedtime for you.
Um, well, this is the time where I seem to wake up.
So what time? What time do you get up in the morning? Then you early riser.
Oh, I do get up quite early sometimes. Yes. Yeah.
I keep meaning to ask you what you do for a living because I saw you the other day wearing what appeared to be a uniform of sorts.
Oh no, that was yeah, that was just that was a fashion statement. So yeah, no, I'm actually teaching. Yeah.
Right, because I thought you were a teacher, and then I saw you wearing something. I thought, are you a pilot? What's that uniform for? I couldn't
No,
work
not
out what it
fine.
was.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
my friend, thank
Okay.
you. Thanks for taking your Saturday night out to talk to us. I do appreciate that.
Yes, no, thank you. I've been looking forward to it. I'm glad we got to do it again, to
Pleasure.
discuss our theories.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
always great to chat with you. Have a wonderful rest of the evening, my friend, and have a great Sunday.
You too. Have a great weekend. Thank you, Guy.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye for now.
Bye bye.